Hey there, this is David Gemme coming to you from our Sierra Sotheby's studios in Reno, Nevada with a video specific to the buying process. Let's just be honest. The buying process has turned into like a series of mashed potatoes today where, you're having all these different sites come on from Redfin to Zillow to Trulia to everything else. And what we try to do in the buying process is bring clarity. The first thing we do is we sit down and have a buyer interview where you tell me what you think you want. And the reason I say what you think you want is because you would not be the first buyer to change their mind halfway through the process and buy something completely different that they didn't know they wanted. So what our job, and I feel like my primary job as your buyer's agent, is to draw out what you're really looking for, because a lot of these things start as concepts, but when you mix in the family and you mix in the various relationships in your life, that buying process then changes, especially when you start mixing it with a budget. Lake Tahoe specifically, properties are not exactly cheap. And there are communities within Reno and Lake Tahoe where we can kind of bridge those gaps and kind of find out what community is going to really fit you best. So the initial buyer interview is to bring out that process and to start it. The second thing is the commitment process. And there's a lot of minutia. And for those of you who don't know, buyer representation agreements are now standard in the industry, and they're actually mandated by law from a lawsuit that happened about 2 years ago suing NAR. So our commitment to you starts with your commitment to us. And what we do from day one is we sign a buyer agent commitment contract, which is called a buyer broker agreement. It has a short term, whereas if we're not performing to your liking, you can cancel it after a certain time period. And if you like us, you can extend it. And so the idea here is that commissions were originally paid for by sellers. And I think it's really important to understand this in today's world. The properties that you see today and their price do not include a buyer representation commission. So we're going to discuss that up front. You're going to be able to ask me questions about that. And then what we're going to be able to do is come up with a strategy for how we're going to build that buyer agent commission into an offer. And what I like to tell people is just let the process run and make the decision when you have the offer. Third thing, once we actually have a successful offer, we then start the escrow process. And the escrow process is your time period for contingencies. And a contingency is when we write a contract, you actually have a period within the contract that you can get out of the agreement with little to no penalties. Okay, so you're going to put your earnest money up first. You're going to basically open escrow, and then the time frames within the contract start. So within that investigation period timeframes, and in California they call it contingencies, in Nevada they call it a due diligence period, you're going to have time to research the property, ask questions, and figure out if you actually really want to buy it. If you decide after all of that you want to buy it, you remove all your contingencies. And after you remove your contingencies, you actually move towards the closing process of the escrow. Along the way, we have a transaction manager on our team who helps facilitate all the paperwork and make sure that you're crossing every T and dotting every I, so that at the end of the transaction, the contracts are complete, there's no missing signatures, you own your home, you know what you've bought, and you feel assured that you bought the right property. And by the end of the process, we're going to be really good friends because we're going to spend a lot of time on the phone. So it would be my hope that after watching this video, you would give us the opportunity to let us be your guide through that process, that you would trust us and our multiple decades of experience to help draw out what you truly want and find that perfect property. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have questions, my number is right below.